Hey folks, Redneck Reloader here. Thanks for joining me. This video today is actually another one that came from y'all, and I really appreciate that when that happens. I was having a discussion with one of my viewers about the Lee hand press, and I've got this Lee hand press kit. I'm not sure really what the difference is with the kit versus just the hand press, but I had that hand press kit. I haven't used it very much. I was in a situation where I was relocating and I was living in an apartment and I really didn't have an area to reload. It's a very small apartment. I had all my stuff packed away and I bought this hand press kit and it worked great in my apartment. I made some videos on it, a review video, set up a little table, a little folding table, and I would just sit there and reloaded it and it worked great, but I only did it with pistol rounds. And I had said I didn't know how well it would work with rifle rounds. And somebody had started a discussion with me about it and said, could you do rifle rounds on it? And I said, well, I think you probably could, but I don't know how well it would work. And he said, well, you should do a video on that. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I had reloaded some 7.62 by 39 the other day. I actually did a video on that. And I thought I had done, we'd went and done some shooting, and I thought I had done all my brass that I had, but I actually was doing a little cleaning up on my bench, and I found 7 pieces of brass that I had overlooked. So I said, well, those will be perfect for making this video with. So I'm just going to reload these 7, but I'm going to use the Lee hand press kit, and we're going to see how it goes. I've never done this before. Might be a disaster, but I'm going to try it. So thanks for watching, and we'll get to it. All right, so this is the Lee hand press kit, and this one is one that does feature the breech lock quick change bushing. I think the older ones didn't have that, but I don't think it makes a difference. I don't really use it, but it's also got the powder funnel that comes with it, the priming tool, and it comes with some sizing lube and complete instructions. So if it comes with sizing lube, then I guess they must have intended for you doing some rifle rounds with it. That's the lube. I won't be using that. I use Unique case lube. I've said this before. I'm sure it's probably fine lube. I just don't use it. I use Unique. I've had great luck with Unique. I've never had a case stuck with it. So I'm just going to stick with it. I don't want to be changing anything up. And this is that the little priming tool that that along with these, which I'll show you how to use those here in a few minutes. So these are my dies. I'm using the CH dies today. These are the ones I have for 7.62 by 39, and we'll just get right into it. So I'm going to go ahead and screw down my decapping and full length sizing die until it touches. I'm going to give it a little extra turn to make sure it's down all the way, because I want to do a full length resize on these. And then I'm going to take my cases. I haven't tumbled these or anything, but they're clean. There's no rocks or twigs or anything like that in them. I'm going to put a little lube on there. Sorry folks, just get my head on straight. I already had a I left my shell holder on that last time I used it, and I don't know what that's for. I'm gonna have to go and look. I normally store my shell holders in with the dies that I use them with, and I left that one on there, and I'll have to look that up and see what caliber that's for and put it back where it belongs. Anyhow, so I'm going to put in my shell holder, put in my lubed up case, and run it up. This does take some force now. Well, it seemed to go up in there all right. It decapped all right. Hopefully I did a full length size on that. you don't get the cam over. You don't have as much power with this, but it seemed to do okay. Do get a little bit more of a workout with this thing. I don't know what the best technique for it is. I just kind of do that. I do try to keep it kind of upright. When you're decapping, these go down inside the ram. The ram's hollow, and it does fill up. I actually filled it up there once. I was doing a bunch of decapping and got to the point where it wouldn't hold anymore. So I'm not sure how many will fit in there, but if you kind of lay it on its side, you end up spilling the spent primers all over the place. So I do try to keep it upright. But so far so good. This is the part I was kind of wondering about, was how it was going to do with sizing and decapping, but seems to be working well. Haven't had any issues with it thus far. This is the last one. And those are done. And now, before I spill them, I'm going to go ahead. I took out the shell holder, and you can kind of see the spent primers. You can just dump them out of the ram. They come out pretty easy. And that step is done. Now this next step, I'm not even sure how this is going to go. I've got to trim these cases. So what I use to trim is this Lee Quick Trim with the appropriate die. And the way you use this is you screw the die in, and you have the shell holder in, of course, and you have to have the right die for the right caliber, and you just screw that in until it touches. We're going to lock that down. And then you insert the case. And then you use the quick trim. You just turn it and trim the case down the side. I wasn't sure how this was going to work with this hand press, but seems to work okay. It's a little more awkward than doing it in a mounted press, but it's certainly doable. All right, I'm just going to trim the rest of these up, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, I went ahead and used my little hand tool to chamfer and deburr those cases, so that's all done. And so far, so good. The trimming went better than I thought it would. Now, I'm going to prime now. The priming tool that comes with this, the way you use this, you have two of these plungers, large and small primers, and you take out your shell holder, and this actually goes into the ram in place of the shell holder. And then this little device goes, you screw it in place of the die. And to do that, I need to remove this little quick change bushing and screw this in instead. And you just put it in, and then you just turn it a quarter of a turn, and it locks in place. And the way you prime with these is you place your primer in the end of that cup. Let me go ahead and dump my primers out here on the bench. So you place your primer into the end of the cup, and then missed a step. Your shell holder goes in up here. You place your case in, and then you just run that up. And that's how you seat your primer. So it's pretty easy to work with. So I'm going to go ahead, prime the rest of these cases, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I went ahead and put the reloading tool away, and I put my shell holder back in my hand press. And I went ahead and powder charged my cases. I didn't think I need to show you that. Luckily, my thrower was still set up because I just reloaded these a couple days ago, the same caliber, so I still had my thrower was still set. So I didn't have to adjust it or anything. Just checked it, and it was still on. So now we're going to seat our bullets. So I'm going to set this die up. Now, I have a dummy round, so I'm going to back my bullet seater all the way out. I'm going to take an empty case and put it in, run it up in here, and I'm going to screw the die down until I feel it contact that brass. That's pretty good there. I'm going to give it a little bit more of a turn because I like to put a little bit of crimp on my rounds to keep them from setting back. Then I'm going to take my dummy round and run it up in there, and I'm going to set the seating depth. Now we should be set. So take my first round and put it in, load the bullet. These are flat based bullets, so when I do a bolt tail, I can usually set them in there and they'll kind of stay in place. With these flat tails, I have to hold them and guide them all the way up into the press. And since I'm having to do this with this hand press, kind of one-handed, I'm going to use my knee just to get that started up in there. And then I'm going to press it in. I'm going to check it against my dummy round and see how they look. Looks pretty good. I'm going to adjust the seating depth in just a hair. Run it up in there again. So just a hair long. That's perfect. Now I'm going to press, I like to press these against the side of the bench just to see if that bullet's going to try to set in, and it doesn't. So I got good neck tension on there. Just a little smidge of crimp. Perfect. And the next one, I use my knee the same way. Just till I get it started up in the die, and then I can use both hands. Won't set back. Length looks good. Perfect. So, yeah. Can you do rifle rounds on using the Lee hand press? Well, I can use 7.62 by 39 with no problem. And I'm pretty sure I could do 2.23 with no problem. I guess maybe some larger rifle rounds you might have a harder time with. I don't know. But yes, you can definitely do rifle rounds on the Lee hand press. It's not the smoothest thing in the world. It's a little wieldy. But if you're in a situation like I was when I bought this and I was in an apartment and I had no choice, if I wanted to reload, this was pretty much what I had to use. Yeah, that's fine. If I had nothing else, I would certainly sit here and do this and reload with this. No problem at all. So, Lee, another good job. I am getting to be more and more of a fan of Lee products. I will say that. I really haven't had too many issues with their stuff. And this Lee hand press. I've had this for probably close to a year. I've used it a few times since I set up this reloading bench. I haven't used it at all because I haven't had to be reloading in my apartment. But yeah, I'll have to pull this out a little bit more often, I think. It's kind of fun. So that's it. So yes, the answer is you can reload rifle rounds with the Lee hand press. So this is Redneck Reloader. I appreciate y'all very much. Thank you for watching. And if you like what you see, subscribe. Give it a thumbs up on there. That helps me with YouTube, with the algorithms. Helps me get seen a little bit more and can help me grow the channel and do better things. So thank you all. God bless.